You are watching No Filter with Debbie. These are my views and opinions. Welcome to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and you know what's driving me crazy? What's driving me crazy is the ridiculous adulation of all of these young women, and I guess they're women, but we're told one of them is a youth at age 22 or 23, because they're connected with the new first family and the inauguration. These are the empresses with no clothing on, and I'll start with the first one, Ella Emhoff. So we showed you that ugly dress, that coat that she's wearing in the picture over my shoulder. They cost $4,000. That ugly houndstooth coat that was all the rage. You too can get that ugliness, that hideousness for $4,000. But what's even more hideous is that this woman has now gotten a modeling contract. And by the way, if you forgot who she is, Ella Emhoff is the stepdaughter of our new vice president, or the new vice president, Kamala Harris. She is the daughter of Doug Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband, and his first wife. Now, she is in fashion school or fashion college, whatever you want to call it, in New York. I believe it's called the Parsons School of Design, where she is attending. And she is involved in something called slow fashion. What is slow fashion? Well, they're against stores like H&M and Zara and other big retail chains because they develop clothing fast according to trends. They get them in the stores quickly. They're inexpensive, and we can't have that. We cannot have fashion for the masses, and we can't have capitalism because why? It's bad for unions in third world countries like Bangladesh, where they hate America, they hate Israel, they hate Jews, and so on. But we need to care about them. And it's not right that they're working in sweatshop factories overseas and we're wearing their clothes. That's not my view. Trust me on that. That's the view of people like Ella Emhoff. So she is in favor of slow fashion as opposed to fast fashion. She crochets outfits, and some of them are very, I guess we would call them ugly. I would put the F letter in front of the word ugly, but anyway, they're hideous. So, but now she's all the rage because she is the stepdaughter of our first black vice president. And so, therefore, we must worship her. And she got a modeling contract from IMG. This is the big time agency of Giselle Bundchen, Tom Brady's wife, the supermodel, and also Carly Kloss, another supermodel, the sister in law of Ivanka Trump, big time liberal. And now she's a model. Now, I want you to take a look at these pictures that I found of Ella Emhoff. So, as you can see, we have circled her underarms. She does not shave them. Does this look like a model to you? Now, they call it an unconventional model, which is a way of saying ugly. But anyway, and nerdy. So, look at that. And then we have one other picture of her in one of her other hideous outfits. Look at that. So, I guess she's going to now have to shave her armpits. Maybe it's a good thing she got this modeling contract. Or maybe they won't make her do that. Maybe that's the new fashion, too. Since we're already going to be like Europe in every other aspect, now we can do the European women who don't shave their legs and don't shave their underarms. Fabulous, America. Just fantastic. So apparently, IMG is really into putting empresses with no clothing under contract who are not models, who do not look like models, but who are in the wokeness business, the social justice warrior business, because they also gave a contract to America's national youth poet laureate, Amanda Gorman. Remember her? She gave us that left wing lecture at the inauguration about how bad America was, but now it's saved because Kamala and Joe have come to town to fix everything and make it all better by sniffing hair and other things. So she got a contract with IMG also. This is absurd. This is what they call the cult of personality. And the cult of personality, when it leaves the station, it's a runaway train and it ain't never coming back. And that's the case with these two women. Again, does that woman with the unshaved pits, does she look like a model to you? So they both have modeling contracts. And like I said, Amanda Gorman, the black Greta Thunberg, another overrated person, and our National Youth Poet Laureate, who is going to be speaking at the Super Bowl. And again, like I told you the other day, you know what? The Super Bowl has football, it's got a halftime show, it's got a lot of hype, it's got the commercials, but nah, it needs something. And you know what it needs? It needs a poem by a liberal. Said nobody ever. So don't believe the hype. Or believe it. I guess these girls are coming to a runway near you. These women are coming to a runway near you, modeling $4,000 ugly coats with rhinestones affixed to them. Now, yesterday we talked about the GameStop story with the Redditors, the subredditors who bet against the big time industrial, or I should say, institutional investors, the big time wealthy hedge fund managers and CEOs, and they beat them at their own game. Because, as I've said, the stock market is gambling. And if you allow people in, which the stock market's supposed to be a democracy, we saw yesterday that maybe it isn't, anything can happen. And if you bet heavily on shorts, if you short heavily, you're going to lose your shirt when you have this group of little people working against you. And as I said yesterday, they're not all little people. Ryan Cohen, a billionaire who bet several $1,000,000 and is now a billionaire again off of that. Not a little person, just saying, in any sense of the word. So, yesterday, Robinhood, the app that allows the little people to bet online, basically. That's what this is. This is online betting to play the stock market. They shut down betting. They shut down stock buying. Only you could only sell stocks for GameStop and AMC movie theaters, Nokia, BlackBerry. I think some others. American Airlines was one of them. These are the zombie companies. Zombie companies are companies that are basically dead. They're the Walking Dead. They are anachronistic. They have stores in emptying shopping malls, abandoned shopping malls. They have products like video games that you can get online now. You don't need to buy copies of them, those kinds of things. So today, Robinhood, after all of the bad publicity, people on the left, people on the right, we showed you that AOC and Ted Cruz agreed until AOC said, but you tried to murder me, which it's always about her. She's always a drama queen, always making up stuff where she's the victim of every single story, not people who are betting online, who are the little people or anybody else. She's always the victim. She's always the martyr. So they agreed briefly, and Robinhood started up and again letting people buy this stock again. So you know what happened? Today, while we're taping this show, the stock has gone back up to nearly $400. I think above where it stopped trading at before it plunged after Webull and Robinhood stopped the investing on that. Now, we have a video of this is a billionaire hedge fund king, Leon Cooperman, complaining about this.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people. And, I think it's inappropriate. We all got to work together and pull together.
Wealthy people can't be attacked. Wealthy people have to have their share in the market. They get to make money and only they do. And none of the little guys can do that. No, 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 no. That's what he's saying. Now, I do agree with the first part. A lot of people are home because we forced them to be home. We shut down the economy. And I shouldn't say we. I should say liberal Democrat governors across the country, plus Governor Burgum. They shut down the economy, and people need to make money to put food on the table. So we manufactured money. We gave them checks. And yes, people stay home. They have nothing to do. You can only watch so much Netflix. And they are also online on Reddit and other places, and they did bet against the market. So he's kind of right, but come on. It's a gamble. It's a casino. And just because it's been stable before, you bet on the stock market, you take your chances. It's a risk. All right, when we come back, it's Friday. We will have our No Filter movie reviews. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Heroes and Icons is now Cozy TV. Don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Are you a thrill seeker, sightseer, or day tripper? The Ford Bronco Sport SUV is built for you. Four Bears Casino is giving away a 2021 Ford Bronco Sport loaded with a ton of interior space, safari-style roof, smooth suspension for any terrain, and easy-to-clean surfaces. Qualify now just by playing your favorite slots at Four Bears Casino. Double points on Sundays. Also get in on Super Senior Wednesdays, slot turning Thursdays, and hot seats on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Spin into Four Bears Casino and Lodge for chances to win.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. It is Friday, time for movie reviews. As you know, if you're a regular watcher of the show, I am a movie critic. I get to see most of the movies, most of them, before you do. And I perform a public service. I sit through them so you don't have to. And trust me, it's a big public service because a lot of these movies are garbage, most of them. And you don't want to waste 10 plus bucks per person if you take your whole family. That gets to be very expensive, especially if you add in popcorn and soda and other food. It's a big undertaking and not worth spending money on if the movie is garbage. And again, many of them are. So let's talk about the new movies. Now, this one, The Marksman, actually came out about a couple of weeks ago or so. Maybe it was a week ago. I did not get the screener. And frankly, I wish they would have sent me a screener for this one because it's much better than a lot of the movies I've seen recently. It's not a great movie. It's not a deep movie, but it is what you expect in a Liam Neeson action thriller. It is thrilling. I wasn't bored for a second. I didn't look at my watch. I didn't fall asleep or nod off. It wasn't boring. Very suspenseful, edge of my seat the whole time. Now, I'll tell you the story and then I'll tell you what the drawback is. So the story is Liam Neeson is a down and out, on his luck rancher who's lost his wife to cancer, his beloved wife, and his stepdaughter is a Border Patrol agent. He lives right near the Mexican border, and he encounters two illegal aliens that are crossing, a mother and her son. And first, he wants nothing to do with them, but then he sees they're being chased by a gang. He fights off the gang. The mother dies, and he is stuck with the son and trying to get him to his relatives in Chicago and also evade this gang and the Border Patrol and everybody else. It seems like every police officer in this movie is on the take from the Mexican gangs. Now, at first I thought, well, I'm very skeptical, but we do know that there are law enforcement in the United States that have been caught taking payments from gangs like MS-13, so that was realistic. What I didn't like about it is the illegal alien family, the mother and the son, are very sympathetic. They're nice people. They only snuck over the border to come to America because they had to, because otherwise they would be murdered by this gang because the mother's brother stole from the gang. Come on. Most people that are coming over our borders and staying here illegally, sneaking in illegally, they don't come here because a gang is chasing them. A lot of them lie to authorities to get refugee status and get asylum, and they say things like that, but they're lying. Most people who come here from South America and Latin America are coming here to make a better life for their family. It's economics. And economics is not the same thing as my life is in danger, I'm going to be killed because of A, B, or C. That is completely different. And this movie makes it seem like that's the story of most illegal aliens. That's the narrative in this movie. Very sympathetic, big sob story. It's not typical. In fact, it's atypical. And also, we know that most illegal aliens in America don't even sneak over the border. They come here on visas, like tourist visas, student visas, worker visas, special talent visas, H-1B visas, and then they overstay and we lose them. They never show up for court and they evade the system. So most of them are not like the illegal aliens in this movie. Now, that said, like I said, a very suspenseful action movie. The one thing I never find believable of Liam Neeson, and he had a previous movie I reviewed on this show earlier this last year, a few months ago, is that his accent is Irish. As much as he tries to disguise it, he does not do a good American accent. You could tell he's a foreigner. And he constantly plays a Marine or some kind of former U.S. serviceman. In this movie, he's a Marine. Not believable. In another movie that I told you about, Honest Thief, he's a former Army bomb technician. Again, not believable because we know he's Irish. So you need to be a little bit more creative with your story to adapt to that, Hollywood. Otherwise, I thought it was a decent movie, and on my rating scale, I give it 1.5 Reagans. Now, remember that I'm grading on a curve because the movies are so bad now. But it was not a bad movie, it's just not a great movie. Now, the next new movie is One Night in Miami. This is also streaming online, it's in theaters. This movie put me to sleep. It was so long and boring and militant and just fictional and a waste of time. The story is that one night in Miami, supposedly 4 black leaders, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, the singer, and Jim Brown, the football player turned actor, they meet up mostly in a hotel room and just talk. And it's super, super boring. Now, as we all know, or you should know, Malcolm X was in the Nation of Islam, and he left the Nation of Islam to become a Sunni Muslim instead of a Nation of Islam black Muslim, and he was assassinated by somebody else within the group. Reportedly, it was Louis Farrakhan's family. Another claim is that Louis Farrakhan was behind it, who is now the head of the Nation of Islam. Others say it was Elijah Muhammad. Regardless, the guy was a separatist. He was anti-white. He was an extremist. That's never how he's portrayed in these movies, but he was a black supremacist. The Nation of Islam's a black supremacist group that unfortunately never gets the treatment that white supremacist groups get. They should all be discouraged, disavowed, and denigrated. All of them. Muhammad Ali, as we know, converted to Islam, and he announced it the next day after this reported one night in Miami. Now, all of this is fictional. We don't know if all these people were together at the same time, and if they were, which it is the belief, what they actually said to each other. The conversation is all fictional. So what's the point other than I needed to fall asleep and I was tired, and this did the trick. So my rating is 2 Marxes and 2 Notos on this one. Now, the next new movie is Palm Springs. I absolutely hated this movie. It's billed as an updated, hip version of Groundhog Day. It takes place at a wedding. Andy Samberg is a friend of, I believe, the sister of the bride, and he also is the boyfriend of a girl that's cheating on him, who's a friend of the bride, and he is forced to repeat the same day over and over again, and suddenly he inveigles the woman he becomes friends with, who is the sister of the bride, into this. It's just really gross. It's very raunchy. It's pointless. And I sat through this and thought, 2 hours of my life I will never, ever get back. Maybe it was an hour and a half. It was long enough. I hated this movie. There was no point, and like I said, it was gross. It was pointless. It's violent. And my rating for this movie is 2.5 Marxes. All right, when we come back, we'll have more movie reviews, some more new movies, and a classic oldie. And then we will tell you some other things that are going on in North Dakota and national politics after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here were terrific. We enjoy it.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, we started our Friday No Filter movie reviews, and now we are going to continue. And the newest movie, this actually just debuted today in theaters, The Little Things. You can also stream this online, by the way. It's Warner Brothers, so it's HBO Max that you can watch this on, but it's in theaters, and I encourage you to get out and go to the theater. It stars Denzel Washington as a kind of near retirement police detective, kind of washed out, kind of tired, near the twilight or in the twilight of his career. He is sent from the city where he's a cop to Los Angeles County to get some evidence in a case. And then we find out that he actually used to be a very hip and up and coming star detective in LA County. So he meets another detective played by Rami Malek, and they are suddenly involved in investigating this case that's tied to a case he investigated years ago that was never solved. So I just felt this movie was very long, slow, and boring, and nothing really ever happened. And by the end of the movie, there's really no payback. I felt like I sat through a movie and a half that was half a movie. They don't really resolve things, and the way they resolve it is not really a resolution at all. I just felt this reminded me of the highly overrated series of detective shows on cable called True Detective. This was like True Detective. Very slow, very boring, very confusing. They don't really let you know very well what's going on. I had to rewind a few times. You also couldn't hear a lot of it. I had to rewind for that. There's a lot of mumbling and garbled dialogue. And listen, that's important to enjoying a movie. It's got to be clear, and you have to be able to hear what they're saying definitively to know what's going on. So I just didn't go for this movie. I just felt like there was a huge big buildup and then nothing really happens. The real star of the movie is the guy that they believe is the murderer, but they just can't prove it and they cannot find enough evidence. And he is played by Jared Leto. He's the most entertaining guy in the movie. The movie is very scary and spooky. I love scary movies and thrillers, and most of them don't scare me anymore because I see so many, but this was pretty creepy. It just didn't satisfy me at the end. So I just felt like it was a wild goose chase for nothing. My rating for that, therefore, is half a marks. Now, the next new movie is No Man's Land. No Man's Land, another movie where they give you this illegal alien narrative. I just really hated this movie. Another movie where the illegal alien really isn't what he seems. He's really a nice kid and a victim of evil American aggression. So the story is there's this middle class Texas, or maybe it's Arizona, I don't remember which state it is, but southern border rancher family. And illegal aliens come on their land. They come to stop the illegal aliens and turn them into border patrol. A fight ensues. A gun goes off, and their son, the American son, who is set to go to minor league baseball to spring training for the Yankees, he is the one that did the shooting, and now he has to escape to Mexico and live like an illegal alien. So they reverse the roles, and then we find out, by the way, that the illegal alien kid that he shot, his father is a U.S. citizen or has a green card, and he tried to bring his son over, and he couldn't, so the son had to sneak over. Oh, what a nice sob story. But you know what? That's not how it happens in real life. Most of the cases are, in fact, very, very different. They're not sob stories like this. They're people trying to sneak into this country to steal jobs, commit crimes, and so on. President Trump was right when he announced his campaign and said those things. So there's that. Plus, it was just so long, slow, and boring. It doesn't move. And that's because there's really just not much of a story here. I fell asleep several times. It just wasn't worth it. I give this movie 2 Marxes plus 2 Notos in my rating. And finally, among the new movies, this one debuts today on Apple TV Plus. It's called Palmer. It stars Justin Timberlake as a former college football star who has returned from a stint in prison for attempted murder. His next door neighbor is a skanky drug addict, and he ends up having to take care of her son, who is a cross-dressing trans kid who's like 7 or 8 years old, maybe even 6. And it's all about how we're supposed to be tolerant of trans, and all the people in the South are intolerant, and they beat up this kid and make fun of him and treat him terribly, because red state's bad. Red state's intolerant. And I just hated this movie. I felt like I was being lectured every second. Plus, it wasn't enjoyable. It's a dark movie about people with sad lives. Who wants to go see that? You could see that every day on the street. Why would you want to pay money to see this or sit at home and stream this on Apple TV Plus? Just was a waste of time. It's also long, slow, and boring. I give it 1 Marks Palmer. And then finally, here's an oldie but goodie, and I really liked this movie. It's a classic. It's called The Time Machine. It's been remade several times, but the classic original version from 1960, starring Rod Taylor and Yvette Mimieux, that's the one to see. It is really good. It's about a man in Scotland or Ireland, maybe even England, but somewhere in the United Kingdom, Great Britain, who develops a time machine. He goes to the future, and he's very alarmed at how civilization has devolved. I kind of feel like that's a foreshadowing for where we are today. These people don't appreciate books. They don't appreciate knowledge. They're stupid. Basically, all the buildings and the inventions and everything that mankind has developed are gone. And these people are basically mindless cult members. And he's very disappointed. I have that feeling every day. But it's just a great movie. I like the ending. I love the whole story. Just a great classic movie. And it reminds you that you don't have to spend millions of dollars on special effects to have a great movie. You have to have a good story, good dialogue, and adventure. And that's what this movie has. It's a great form of science fiction escapism. It's timeless. The Time Machine on my rating scale gets 4 Reagans. It's just a classic. All right. So that's the end of our movie reviews today. But before we go to the break, I want to play you a video. You're familiar with Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. Well, he's even more wonderful now that I saw this video. You got to watch.
Hey, Mr. Wonderful here. I want to talk about fashion. I want to talk about capitalism. I want to talk about socialism. I want to talk about gross margins. Let me show you something. Check this out. I look spectacular in this. I was walking on the beach earlier today, right out there. See that? Everybody wants to buy this off me. I got this from the official AOC site. Now let's talk about gross margins. Check this out. Yep, official AOC shop. I paid $67.22 for this. I'm gonna guess she lands this, or basically for $6. It's fleeceware, and $5 for shipping. That's 85% gross margin. That's spectacular. Listen, you know what this proves? Inside of every socialist, there's a capitalist screaming to get out. AOC, call me. We could blow this thing up together. We could make a fortune. I only want 7% royalty. That's being reasonable. Call me. Call me.
Boom shakalaka. That was a great video. Great point. Now I know why he calls himself Mr. Wonderful. He is. And when we come back from the break, we're going to show you some video of what's going on with the Republican Civil War in Wyoming pursuant to the impeachment, and some other things that are going on in the Civil War in Congress. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Howdy folks, it's the Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a combo roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering, it's the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, I told you we are going to show you a video about the Republican Civil War. So as you know, there were 10 Republicans who voted to impeach President Trump in the House. One of those was Liz Cheney, who is one of the House leaders. I believe she's the House whip, Republican whip anyway, one of the Republican leaders. And Congressman Matt Gaetz, we've shown you videos of him before. Listen, I don't like some of his behavior, but I really like a lot of the things he has to say. He's got a lot of great spirit, and he's got a connection to North Dakota. So he was in Wyoming, and he tells us what that connection is, and he's there because of what Liz Cheney did. Watch this.
I love Wyoming! I think if Liz Cheney had a rally with all of her supporters, they could likely meet inside one of the elevators in the Capitol and still have plenty of room for social distancing. I want to thank Representative Ocean Andrew. His first day as a state representative was yesterday, and he invited me to be here with all of you today. I'd say that's a pretty good start for the young man. I'll confess to you, this is my first time in Wyoming. I've been here for about an hour, and I feel like I already know the place a lot better than your misguided representative, Liz Cheney. My grandfather was a small-town mayor in not-too-distant North Dakota. He passed before his time, but not before passing into legend. And he passed along a little wisdom to my dad. My old man calls it prairie populism. Do right by your people. Never sell out. Fight their dislikes. And never let the powerful run over the weak. Inspire people through courage and tell the truth. The truth is that the establishment in both political parties have teamed up to screw our fellow Americans for generations.
All right, so that guy is a great speaker. He is a star He's really good on social media. And that is the opening salvo in primarying people who voted for the impeachment. And they should be primaried. There was no reason to impeach President Trump. It was petty, as I've said on past shows. This is equivalent to the Pope that dug up the dead Pope, Pope Stephen VI, who dug up Pope Formosus and put him on trial. There's no reason to do this, and it's ridiculous, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's a waste of time and money and energy. Although the more time they spend on that, the less time they spend on making more liberal laws. So he was there campaigning on behalf of her primary opponent. I think she's going to lose. You heard that crowd. There's a lot of people there. Those are the Republican primary voters. And I think Liz Cheney is going to be sent back to the Wyoming ranch. Just saying. She made her own bed. Now, somebody else who made her own bed, and unfortunately, she is allied with Matt Gaetz and some of the Republicans who I do respect and I think are doing great work. They've lost my respect a little bit, maybe more than a little, because they got this woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, into Congress. This woman is a nut. I've talked about her on the show before. She believes in this crazy QAnon cabal. And this QAnon cabal is just so crazy. The theme behind it is that the belief in President Trump being the savior of America's children who are being molested and kidnapped for some child trafficking ring that is run by the Democrats. As you'll recall, some guy that believed in this went to a Washington, D.C. pizza restaurant with arms, with a weapon, with his gun, to hold the place up because he believed that the Clintons were running a child trafficking ring through that restaurant. Listen, the Democrats are bad enough. They do a lot of terrible things to America and tear down this country. We don't need these crazy stories to bring people together to see that. And she is a believer in QAnon. Not only that, but she is racist. She is anti-Semitic. She is an open hater of Jews. She said that Jews have some kind of space laser that started the forest fires in California. What? All right, I'm Jewish. I wish I owned part of that space laser because that sounds like a really cool tool that I could harvest for a lot of value. By the way, I also don't have any shares in the International Baking System either. And I'm not related to the Rothschild family or any of her crazy conspiracy theories. She is under a lot of fire for that, but also because she put up social media posts. She's now trying to pretend she did not, where she's called for Nancy Pelosi and Democrats to be shot and put to death. You can't have a party that does that. We have to be a nation of law and order. Listen, all year long and to date, I've condemned the violence of the Black Lives Matter people. They are rioters, they are killers, they are destroyers of businesses and cities and buildings. They are horrible and they are to be condemned. But we also have to condemn the people on our side that do these things and really aren't on our side. They tear our side down and they give fodder for the left. However, I wish there was as much enthusiasm among the liberal Democrats for the Jew haters and crazies in their party. All right. So Ilhan Omar, remember her? And I think we have a picture of her, right? And Rashida Tlaib. All right. These are the ones who have openly attacked Jews. Nobody cares about them or calls them crazy or calls for them to be censured or kicked out of Congress. Ilhan Omar said that Jews are all about the Benjamins. Rashida Tlaib made similar comments. Ilhan Omar said 9/11 was just some people did something. This was a violent attack on America because we are America that murdered 3,000 Americans. And this is just some people did something. These people are destructive as well. And I think they could all probably form together a Jewish space laser forest fire caucus. Get rid of all of them. All of them. They're bizarre, all of them. But don't only go against the Republicans who are crazy like this. Kick them all out of Congress. All of them. All of them. All right, now, let's get to a quick North Dakota story before the break, and that is that today We are officially at green level in North Dakota. That means bars and restaurants are still not at full capacity. And we showed you the map yesterday where North Dakota is the safest place to be. We have the lowest number of cases per 100,000 of COVID. But yet the governor is still restricting bars and restaurants to 80% capacity. And if you're a ballroom or some event venue, you're only at 75%. This is ridiculous. Free North Dakota from the bondage of Governor Burgum. We need to reopen not only America, but in particular North Dakota. We're the safest state to be in right now. All right, when we come back, we will talk a little pot. North Dakota, that could be legal here. Why I'm against it. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. Is North Dakota going to be a green state? And when I say green, I don't mean Green New Deal. I mean green in terms of pot. I've talked about this issue on the show since the beginning because, as we know, last year, the pot people, the pro-pot people, circulated petitions, and they did not get enough signatures. So it did not get on the ballot. They said they would try again. I do think this is a bad idea for North Dakota. I think it's a bad idea anywhere in America. We know what happens in all of the states that have legalized it. Crime goes up. And by the way, it does not get rid of the black market. There's still a black market because it is so highly regulated that it's expensive and people will buy it from the black market anyway. What does happen is more kids get into eating edibles by accident or on purpose, pot brownies and so on. They have accidents. There are fatalities. Yes, pot does cause fatalities, and there are also drugged driving incidents that go way up. Listen, when you take away the illegality, a lot more people do it. Yes, some people are going to do it anyway, but others are law abiding and they won't, or they won't do it as much. You see a heavy increase. Nothing good will come from this, but this is unfortunately the way America is going because, as I said earlier in the show, we are becoming Europe, not just with Ella Emhoff's unshaven armpits, but also with pot. Our neighbors to the south, South Dakota has legalized it. Montana, I believe, has legalized it. And this is the way of the future, unfortunately. And I think North Dakota will be under tremendous pressure to do the same. I think there are a lot of idiots out there who will come out and vote for this. They don't think about the consequences. They don't care about the consequences. So this is probably going to happen, but it is not good for North Dakota. So it's probably going to be on the ballot next time. So good luck with that. And with mail-in voting, a lot more potheads are going to be voting, and they'll vote for this. Now, yes, I am libertarian on some things, but not on things that are bad in terms of crime. This is one of them. It's a major contributor to the increase in crime. Pot is not harmless. Do I think somebody should spend 3 decades in jail for having a certain amount of pot on them? No, but I don't think it should be decriminalized. Now, this is another issue, and we are going to talk about this on the show next week. We are going to have the state legislator who introduced this on the show. A state representative, Keith Kempenich, wants us to pay for his meals. Now, I'm not completely opposed to this, but I think some of the things that maybe he got quoted as saying in the media, and I don't trust the mainstream liberal media of North Dakota, just like I don't trust the national mainstream media. You have to read between the lines. They quoted him as saying that he said, I had all these fancy meals paid for me by lobbyists before, and now there's an ethics law keeping me from doing that. And so he's been made fun of. There's a parody. There's actually an online campaign to raise money. It's called Feed North Dakota Legislators. It's on GoFundMe. We might have on the person that started that on the show. It's not raised any money, but we'll definitely have on Keith Kempenich. I want to give him a chance to explain this, and we will ask him some argumentative questions, but we'll give him a chance to explain why he thinks we should pay for his meals. So there's that. Now, here's what I think is very important that North Dakota politicians are doing, and that is our U.S. Senators Kramer and Hoeven. They have introduced a new bill. It is called the Power Act. The Power Act is an attempt to get Joe Biden stopped from stopping leasing on federal lands. Now, as I said on the show yesterday, you cannot stop it. I think his executive orders are illegal. There is the Federal Leasing Act that requires the government to make leases available for oil drilling and exploration, gas exploration too, on public lands. They have to do it. Joe Biden can't just stop it. And lawsuits have already either been filed or they're in the works. They've been announced. So Senators Kramer and Hoeven, they have started this new law, the Power Law. They've introduced it. It stands for Protecting Our Wealth of Energy Resources Act. It would prohibit the president or his secretaries from issuing moratoria on leasing and permitting for energy and mineral resources on federal lands. I think that that's a great idea, but I think that's already the law. And I don't think Joe Biden can override it with executive orders. So we will see what happens. But listen, I think it's good to have more legislation to stop him and lawsuits. Let's stop him on all available fronts and all legal forums. So good for them. Now, the QAnon shaman. Remember him? His name is Jacob Chansley, I believe. I think we have a picture of him. So Jacob Chansley is going to testify. He's offered to testify against President Trump at the impeachment. This guy is a nut. We are already paying for him to get organic food because somehow that's his religion while he's in federal prison when he invaded the Capitol. He said he's prepared to testify against the president. He's trying to do a plea deal. The president did not tell this nut to come in there. He's a QAnon nut, and I don't care what he thought. This guy cannot be taken seriously. He needs a mental evaluation. I think we have a picture of him with Joe Biden. Remember, Joe Biden's going to heal us all. Unity, my friends, unity. All right, and finally, there is Governor Cuomo. So, Governor Andrew Cuomo has been credited with being the savior of New York for COVID. He's such a good guy. He should run for president. The left is in love with him. Well, guess what? Not even all of the left is in love with him, because even the New York Times, which was basically kissing his rear end constantly, has now dug into things. And guess what? It's actually not them, but they at least covered this story. It's Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York. She's a far leftist. She's going after the president, President Trump. But at least she did something good. She investigated what's going on at the nursing homes in New York. And we all said this, those of us who are conservatives and looked into this. He was sending people with COVID into nursing homes to die and to kill other people. And he was also sending well people who were senior citizens to die in nursing homes to catch COVID from the others. He's a serial killer, make no mistake. He's worse than serial killers because he's killed more people. And Letitia James found that he undercounted the number of people that have died from COVID in nursing homes in New York by 50%. So that's thousands of people that have died that he did not count because he's a liar. He is not a savior. He's a serial killer. But is she prosecuting him for it? Of course not. And remember, things are not always as they seem. See you Monday.